listening to TrawlCast.
Welcome back to TrawlCast for episode 6. I'm Seth McClellan.
And I'm Sean Matthews.
And this week, we're excited to introduce our first ever guest to the show. Our guest is an amazing longtime friend of both Sean and I, a man who I and many would call a great supporter of the arts, someone who's been there for me through many of my artistic endeavors over the years, a dude who is incredibly hardworking and somebody who I constantly see just building up others and always willing to speak up for what's right. A guy who's also an absolutely hilarious masshole converted to a Mainer. It's our honor to introduce Matt Heath to the show. Welcome to TrawlCast, man.
Well, thank you guys, and that was an awesome introduction, and I'm more than stoked to be here. Yeah, it's this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this.
And now, Seth, you mentioned that he's been there for you through a lot of your artistic endeavors. Matt's actually been there for a lot of just personal stuff for me too, and I know I've been there for him. So, I mean, I think together between the three of us, we know each other for probably a few decades now, mathematically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm trying to remember exactly what year it was when I met Matt, but I think it was I want to say it was around 2004, 2005. We first ran into each other when I got an apprenticeship to work for Captain Morgan's tattoo shop in Lewiston shortly after I got out of high school. Matt, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about how you came into hanging out at the shop?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, I went through a really nasty divorce down in Massachusetts, and I was at a pretty low point in my life, and I had met some pretty amazing people when I was roadieing and being a drum tech for another mutual friend of ours, a Mr. Adam Nichols.
Yes.
Who is
the man.
By far one of the best unsigned drummers that anybody has ever heard in their entire lives. Big
and one of the nicest, most humble guys ever. So
without a doubt, so basically, I was going through a not good part of my life, and Adam's now wife, I was friends with also from, the music scene, and I got introduced to them through Caning Amy.
That's right.
So when things went to hell in Mass, Sarah invited me to come and just kind of chill out and at the house and get my shit together. So I moved up to Maine with Adam pretty much the same time. He moved in with Sarah because they were just dating at the time. And I was unemployed at the moment, so I was collecting unemployment from Mass, living in Maine, and Sarah invited me to come to the shop and just hang out. And I started getting work done from Sarah. And Captain took a liking to me as well, so I was coming to the shop pretty much every day, and I started almost being like an apprentice in a way, but more of along the lines of I was just kind of cleaning up around the shop, helping out Frank with day-to-day operations, and that's how I met one of the premier tattooists in the area, with Mr. Christopher O'Leary. And,
yes, shout out to Chris O'Leary. He's an
absolutely
amazing tattoo artist, an amazing guy.
He's a samurai. That's the only way I can put it with Chris O'Leary.
He is, man.
The man will stand behind you 1,000%. I mean, I could say that about the two of you as well. So, I mean, I am blessed.
Thank you, man.
A big religious guy, but I'm really blessed with a lot of my friendships that I've made up here. That I can actually say are true, honest friends. And you don't get to find that very often. And so I've been very lucky in that aspect. But yeah, so I worked at the shop. And Seth came in, like he said, probably, I don't know, I think I was there 6 or 8 months when Seth got the apprenticeship. And
Yeah, so I could talk a little bit about like how I arrived at the shop. Basically, I started kind of becoming interested in tattooing shortly after high school. I went to one semester of college. That did not pan out. I was going for electromechanical engineering, which like the first semester was like 5 math classes, and math is like my least favorite subject. So I dropped out of college and I decided, my passion my 2 parallels in my life up to that point had always been art and music. I always kind of switched off between art and music all through high school and just kind of, the arts were my life, but I kind of didn't know what to do with that. I had no idea like how I was going to be able to, express that beyond high school or make any money or do anything. So I became enamored with the idea of tattooing. So I started going to some of the conventions. I was going to the Mad Hatters down in Portland and the Down East up in Bangor. And there was a booth there at the conventions that sold tattoo supplies, which for all you guys out there unfamiliar, you have to be licensed to be legally a tattoo artist. And it's almost a little unsavory to set up a booth and sell tattoo supplies to somebody who's unlicensed. But as a 19-year-old kid walking in, I saw, oh geez, I can get a cheap power supply and I can get some guns and some inks. And so I picked up some of that stuff, and near that booth was Captain Morgan's, and those guys were sort of like watching me like, this kid's buying some gear. He's probably going to go out and hack up some people and put some bad tattoos on some people. So
I can only imagine the faces. They're seeing this young kid out there, and all of a sudden it's like, what the hell's he doing? Hold on a second. Can somebody go get this kid, for Christ's sakes? Like, don't let him kill someone.
Right. So, and shortly after that, because I'm like at this point totally immersed in the culture. I'm going to the conventions. I'm picking up every single tattoo magazine I can find. And at the time, it was actually a good time to get into that. There was a lot of shows out there on like, Discovery Channel, and that's right when like, Inked was coming out, and that's right when Kat Von D's show was coming out. And you were just kind of immersed in that world. And so I went into the shop and I first met Chris O'Leary, and he put my first tattoo on me, which was this alien skull that I have on my arm from the liner notes to Rob Zombie's Demon Speeding album. So I got tattooed, and then I got kind of hooked. So I kept coming back to the shop, and I kept visiting. Met Matt, met the other guys, met Captain Morgan, met Frankie, met Sarah, and I just kind of like wouldn't go away. I was this kid that just kind of wouldn't stop showing up. So I think eventually they were like, "All right, kid, let's see your art portfolio." So I showed them some drawings that I'd done, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll let you apprentice." So, and like I said, I was very young, so I was super ecstatic for the opportunity. I don't think I was like mature enough for that responsibility yet. But
right,
it was an amazing time to be able to, like, I met, all these great people and great artists. Met Maddie, who we had, Matt and I had all these fun misadventures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Being sort of the apprentices of the shop, we would get to, go on all of the crazy wild goose chases, like for
you guys were the gophers of the crew, or of the shop,
Yep.
So, I remember all kinds of fun, just like situations we got put in and stuff, but we really became good friends through just like, driving around together and like joking around and just, getting to know each other and stuff. So.
All right. So Matt, you and Seth have met at the Captain Morgan's tattoo shop there.
Yeah.
Keep going. Like let's keep going into this, because I actually come in later on down this line through a mutual friend of ours.
Yes,
that
good old Twitch.
Yeah, but it's funny because not only is it a mutual friend of ours, but one of the things that I find really intriguing is the fact that not only was he the reason you and I met, but he also was an integral part of a band that Seth would be very well known for
Absolutely.
later on. So,
Agreed. So, so Seth and I, we had our many adventures in the shop. And I do have to, I mean, I love Captain Morgan to death. He's a great guy, but I do have to say, Seth, I don't think that you were too young for the gig, or, you're immature. He treated you more like a probie in a biker thing than he did as an actual apprentice. And I disagreed with it, a lot of things that he did. And I spoke up when I felt I needed to. But I wouldn't take that too much to heart, with saying that you were immature. I think he took advantage of a lot of us at certain points. But I still have the utmost respect for that man, and I'm not putting him down. He did a lot for the tattoo community. He's done a lot for a lot of people, and he is a good man. And Frankie, his son, did a lot, and I'm forever grateful for that time in my life. And
absolutely,
letting them in my shop. But I just had to put that out there.
Yeah, and that was something I was kind of unprepared for, because I wanted the experience to learn how to kind of build the craft, and I learned a ton from Chris, and I learned a ton from Sarah. They taught me an amazing amount, and with Frank, it was a little bit more like you said. I was prospecting for a biker club or something, and I was more interested in, let's get down to the actual art of it and the business of it. But it was, there's a lot of tradition, and there's a lot of hazing, and there's a lot of that sort of thing. Particularly I think with kind of like, when Frank came into it, that's what he had to deal with. So he's just passing down, sort of that tradition of what he knew. So I think, I don't fault him for that, but that was something at that age I wasn't prepared for. Yeah. So. Right.
No, and I get that, but I just didn't want, because I know that you carried that weight on your shoulders for a long time, and I understand,
Oh man. Yeah.
We had plenty of conversations about that afterwards. But I mean, it was an awesome time. Seth and I actually came up with, we were going to do a t-shirt at one point with the whole "I survived 666" when it was, June 6th, 2006.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we were gonna start this little t-shirt goofy thing, and unfortunately we never came around to it, but I think we would have done pretty well with that one, or at least that would have sold for a little while. But we had our things, and we hung out a bit, and then Seth moved away from the shop. I stuck around for a little bit longer. I was pretty much there until the end of it with Chris O'Leary.
Oh, right. Yeah. Man.
Chris,
and for me, it was like you said, just a time that I really cherished. And even though that particular opportunity didn't work out for me, I pretty much have the next almost, 15 to 20 years of my life to thank for the cause and effect that kind of came from, meeting everybody at the shop, because shortly thereafter, I got a call from Adam saying, "Hey, I'm in this band Loki. I recently moved up from Mass. You remember Sarah from the shop?" I was like, "Oh yeah, man." And I had met the guys from the band that Adam was in before, along with you guys a couple times, Jake. And from
New Sunrise.
New Sunrise. They were a great band.
Yeah, always the roadie, never in the band.
Dude, I thought that they put out a banger of a CD.
Dreams are made of nothing but it's a nightmares that I feel I can't stop them laying out.
I wish they had recorded the second CD, because a lot of their stuff that they had written with Chris Thomas and Kellen was just unbelievable. And like we discussed earlier, Adam, Big Ben, sets his time to Adam. So, it's like Josh Freese, in my opinion.
No, exactly, man. Adam is one of the most talented drummers, man.
I mean,
if anybody from the scene should be doing it professionally, it's Adam by far, man.
Why that dude's not in LA, like just doing, studio sessions and all this kind of stuff, I don't know, because but that's neither here nor there. But like Seth was saying, Adam called him.
Yeah, so I get the call, and he's like, "Hey, I've never heard you play bass. I've seen you, hung out with you down at the shop, but I know that like you're into, Tool and Primus and, Victor Wooten and like a lot of those type of bass players. So that kind of style is what we're looking for. Somebody who's kind of, got that more aggressive bass style. You want to come down and jam and see what happens." So I come down. It was probably, I don't even know, it was less than a year after the shop. It was probably like 6 or 8 months after. And I kind of jumped right in. I learned they had a gig in like 3 weeks. And it was like, we're going to play at the opening weekend at Pier at Old Orchard Beach, all the way at the bar at the end of the pier, which I think at the time was like the Big Kahuna Lounge or something back then. And we're going to play like 25 songs. Can you learn all 25 of these songs in like 3 weeks? And so I'm like, okay, I think I can do that. And
no pressure or anything, just 25 songs and you got a week.
And at this time, like I had just kind of gotten back into being a little bit more serious about bass. I played through high school, but like I had kind of moved away because I was into the art thing for quite a long time. So I was just kind of getting reacclimated. So I was like super timid, super quiet. I didn't have any stage presence at all. I was a kid, and I, kind of playing with people who were what I would consider 2 levels beyond my abilities at the time. And so I was just kind of, brought into this new world, which was really my proper introduction to the main music scene. I had been in a few other bands that, as I had said in a few previous episodes, that kind of, never took full shape or played very many gigs. But so, Loki was my introduction to the scene.
What's up, guys? This is Will with Twin Grizzly, and you're getting nuts with TrawlCast.
I was a drum tech for Adam for a couple of years with New Sun Rising. But I'd always been in or worked around bands growing up, in Massachusetts. And I got to work with some amazing artists down home. My older brother, David Corsilli, he's in a band called Thrown into Exile out in LA right now. They've put out some amazing stuff. They've been touring. He was actually in a band before that. He's been in a few bands, but the one that really made it big for him was Flashpoint, and he played the second stage out in for Ozfest in '96. Yeah, it was really cool. I got to be his guitar tech for a couple of shows on the East Coast.
Beautiful.
It was a lot of fun. I actually got to play wiffle ball with Jack Osborne.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. Hanging out on the tour bus with Drain STH. I got to meet Sharon Osborne. She was a firecracker, let's just say.
Understatement.
Yeah, a little bit. But so I've had a lot of cool opportunities, and there were some really amazing artists down in Massachusetts that I was surprised that they never made it. there's this one band that I was really good friends with called Trip Hammer. And they were around from the late 80s, early 90s. John Falzone, lead singer, Frankie Murphy, to name a couple of them. It's been a while, but Frankie Murphy, unfortunately, he just passed away last year. But
sorry to hear that.
he was the atom of guitarists, basically. This kid was just phenomenal on the guitar. I'd never seen anything like it. So I mean, I've been really, I got into like a lot of stuff when I was back in Mass, and I was surrounded by a lot of amazing musicians and got introduced to a lot of really cool music. Because luckily I'm old, so I got to see a lot of cool stuff.
Luckily, I'm old.
Luckily, I'm old. Well, that's not a bad sentiment to have,
No,
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, I got to see Tool at like Club Babyhead. It's a venue that holds 175 people. I saw Metallica open up at the Vets Memorial Auditorium that holds, it's like playing at the State. So it's like, it's like you get to see these bands out of nowhere. And, I got to be, I was friends with a lot of the local hardcore bands back in the day, Sam Blackchurch, Slipknot, Tree, Temporary Insanity, Scissor Fight, all these amazing hardcore bands. Cause I mean, growing up, I grew up in the 80s. So originally, I was hair metal, that was what I got into. That was my thing. And then my best friend Lance brought me a Sex Pistols tape. So here I am, middle school or whatever, and my uncle introduced me to the Clash, introduced me to Led Zeppelin, the Doors, all that kind of stuff. So that was really cool. And then all of a sudden, here's my friend Lance, who had moved, my best friend for years. He'd gone to Rhode Island, met a group of kids down there, and then the influence of the punk came from that. So now I got the Sex Pistols, the Misfits, the New York Dolls, all that kind of stuff now for an influence. And then all of a sudden now I'm going to shows in Boston at the Channel, the Palladium, the Middle East and all this stuff, hanging out with all these hardcore kids. And it's just a totally different genre and a totally different lifestyle. And, hanging out with a bunch of the FSU boys and just, kicking it with them for a long time on Lansdowne and just watching that whole thing kind of evolve. It was really, really amazing to watch. And, I'm thrilled that I was a part of that scene for years. And then it just kind of changed and my life went a different direction for a little while. And, I did some other things and, I moved around a little bit, fast forward, I guess, until like 2001 or two. And, now I'm married, this, that, and the other thing, unfortunately didn't work out. And that's how I had known Jake from New Sun from when I was younger, because he opened up in other bands that, I saw him play in. And it all pretty much the Jake connection stemmed from my friend John Falzone, because John used to have these massive parties. They were so big at one point that we had it broken up by like 3 different towns of police officers and state police showing up. I mean, he would have like these ragers, dude, that would last. And like they weren't keggers, dude. He would hire a Budweiser truck. And the thing would show up at the house, and the ones with it had the spigots on the side of the truck. It was phenomenal to watch this, and like bands that were just coming out of the woodwork, and like famous people. Like all of a sudden you turn around and there's Evan from Biohazard. There's porn stars walking around, and you're like, how the hell does this even happen? But it was just funny.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've witnessed and seen some stuff that I will never repeat, but it definitely was a wild childhood growing up, and a young adult, and it was really cool. And I'm thankful that I got to do that. And then so fast forward to early 2000s now, and I'm in my early 30s, and I moved to Maine with a good friend of mine, and staying with his, and Sarah's a good friend of mine too. So two good friends of mine. And then New Sun Rising kind of had a falling out. They just kind of went their separate ways, especially after Adam moved to Maine. It was just harder and harder. And, Jake got more into his tattooing, because that's another connection to the tattooing thing is Jake was a tattooist, or still is a tattooist down in Rhode Island. And I have a couple pieces on myself from him too. But, we Adam got into Loki, and then Adam was like, "Oh yeah, I got this new bass player coming to try out." And then Seth showed up, and I'm like, and I knew Seth from the shop, and we were like, "Oh, hey man." And I'd never seen him play. I knew nothing about it. So I was just kind of like, oh, this ought to be cool. Let's see what happens. And I remember the first show I went to, Seth shows up, and we're getting ready to play, and Seth went on stage, and I was completely blown away by the talent that came out of this kid. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, not a problem, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. He brought in like such a new breath of air to the band, and him, John, and Adam just really gelled quickly. Boyer, another amazing musician. Oh my God, the kid can play.
Man. He's so unique. He's got his own style. There's nobody else that you can say it sounds like.
There's
Boyer.
Nobody that can do Boyer's style. Absolutely one of a kind, and just a phenomenal musician all around.
Oh yeah, and a phenomenal person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Great friend of mine.
And like Mike from Caning Amy, amazing guitar player, noodler. The kid could, but I remember like him always trying to figure out how Boyer would do stuff. And I can remember him like yelling at it. He's like, "I think I figured it out." And then like, he'd show Boyer, and Boyer go, "No, that's not it." And he'd be like, "God." And like storm off. But I mean, all the shows at like Legends over in Lewiston, when that used to be there. And
yeah.
That was a great venue to go see some shows. And like I can always remember it was like Caning Amy, Loki, and then when Hour Pass came around, holy crap! Talk about a band.
Yeah, dude.
Christ,
Hour Pass was
how they never got signed. I don't know. I absolutely do not know. It was like Soundbender, another band. Holy Christ.
Dude,
I mean,
I love
they were
Soundbender,
amazing. Man. I love those guys to death. Every single one of those kids are awesome.
We keep on talking in circles. So what are you waiting for? I'm waiting for you to decide. My hand's shaking on the wheel. I don't know which way to turn. So what are you waiting for? Now is the time to decide. I'm waiting here for you. You got me on standby.
And not because you guys are my friends or anything, but Devil's Night Out has definitely thrown a new breath of air into the metal scene.
Well, I made the choice to do wrong by you. Well, I used my voice to dance under you.
When I first got into Devil's Night Out, that was just kind of a by chance situation. Like, I got a phone call from Scott saying, "Hey, I got a new project. We're looking for a singer. Do you want to come in?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll give it a shot." I was like, "Dude, I haven't sang in like 10 years, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine." I'm like, "All right, So I went in. Like, the first practice was literally, I went in, I listened to what they had for songs, and I was like, okay, this isn't bad. It's got potential here. And then they were like, all right, so do you want to give it a shot? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll come back like next week. I'll give it a shot. The worst thing that's going to happen is y'all going to hate my vocals, and then I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. I can go somewhere else and do something else, whatever. Came back, did my thing, got the spot. And then, like, when we're starting to get going, it was like almost impossible to find anybody that was playing shows still, or like we were trying not to just be like, fuck it, we'll just jump on this bill. Like, we wanted to set something up, and the only bands we could get to do the very first show was Loki, and this is post Seth, so this is after Seth when Lubier came back. They're in this band, Stillborn Condition, hits me up, and they're like, hey, like, we're looking for shows. If you got anything, I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. So the first show, I want to say it was like December 18th. And like, we got Genos, which normally a band who just starts out, you don't get Genos on your first swing. And somehow we got it. But then, like, the second show, like, we happened to have TJ, our drummer. He worked at the Asylum, which is now Aura. One of his friends was one of the sound guys, and it just so happened that this tour package was coming through, and it was one very well-known worldwide band that wanted just some local support. They weren't doing anything super big. They just wanted to do this tour, have some local bands support it. And I can't remember the band that they had on the bill before Devil's Night Out, but that band had to drop off for some reason, and Devil's Night Out got the call. And we end up finding out that it's us, Ascent to Power, and Trivium.
Second show
ever.
Wow.
Was a... That
just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and it was a sold-out friggin' Asylum show, like front to back, side to side, roof to floor. And that was our second show ever. And luckily, the sound guy was a friend of ours, so we got to throw a little bit of our pizzazz into the mix. But, I mean... that was the second show, and we've just kept that same mentality throughout it for the years we've been doing it, is just fuck it. Like, it sounds terrible, but we don't care, and we just go do it. And I think that's helped a lot of other musicians say, you know what, they're right, fuck it, let's just do it. But, like, all these other bands, they just started to say, screw it, like, we got this, we can do this. These guys don't give a fuck. Like, fuck it. And, like... And I think that's something that I know with Trawl we've really done for the last, 2 years now, year and a half.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah, actually, I think it's 2 years and like a month, man.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that's something I've noticed too is, for, you coming from the metal scene side for Devil's Night Out, there's like a really good camaraderie between bands and kind of this kind of brotherhood. That, like, when 5 bands get together on a bill at 212 or at Geno's or wherever,
right.
Like, everybody sticks around, everybody fucking supports.
Well, and that's because we kind of instilled that. Like, everyone would go to shows, and, like, I know personally for me, if I'm playing a show, I really fight having to leave early. If I have to leave early, it's not by choice. There's a specific literal, reason that I have to go, but 99% of the time I'm there front to back, and I love it. And seeing all these people in the scene and knowing all these guys as well as we have now, there's some great guys out there. And that's what kills me is like people are like, oh, it's metal music, it's scary, it's devil music, and it's like, no.
That's the thing is like
No.
I kind of feel a little bit like, you know, Trawl is kind of like a hybrid band
Right.
in a sense where we're a little heavy, but we're also rock. So, you know, my thought is, you know, I want to play music with all the best bands from the rock scene and the metal scene
Absolutely.
that kind of embrace that same mentality of, you know, the brotherhood and the camaraderie, because I feel like both scenes could benefit from, you know, just playing more shows together.
Right.
There's no reason.
There's no reason.
You know, some more of the rock bands can't play with more metal bands.
Exactly.
and vice
I
versa.
mean,
It's like,
I think
you know,
the reason is because people don't want to admit that there's, you know, the good between both of them. Like, I love all kinds of music. You know, Maddie's thrown out Misfits, Sex Pistols, friggin' Sam Blackchurch. I mean, that's my language. I love the Sex Pistols. I love Misfits. I love Black Flag. Absolutely love Sam Blackchurch, Honky Ball, Tree. Like, all those things were like kind of what helped me become a musician more and more. And like the camaraderie, like I know back in the day when a local scene would pick up, the camaraderie was there, the brotherhood was there, all these bands knew each other.
Absolutely.
They all fought with each other and for each other. You know, and if there was any beef, there was beef, whatever, you know, that you get it over with, but everyone kind of stuck in it for each other. And that's super big to me now. Like, I don't like seeing other people shit on other bands because it just kind of, it's tacky.
I agree.
Well, I think like the power of what Matt was talking about in like the 80s and 90s scenes and you know, Boston area and like Mass, and even the 90s scenes up here in Maine that were really strong, you know, Twisted Roots, Rotors to Rust,
Good's Thumb,
Daddy Black Boots, Good's
Yeah.
Thumb, Six Gig,
David's Playground.
David's
Playground, yeah.
Playground.
I mean, we could go on for weeks naming these bands.
B movie extras.
I mean, all these guys,
Yeah, B movie.
they all knew each other,
You know,
and they all worked with each other.
I think when the best scenes happen is when that is running on all cylinders. That kind of, you know,
Right.
let's help each other out. We can get further together than apart.
Absolutely. We're all doing the
Agreed.
same thing. We're all doing the same thing. We're
Right.
making music. Who gives a shit? Like, if they're good musicians and they're being good dudes, like, perfect. Let's just keep this going. The good energy, the good vibes, that'll all make everything kind of work better.
Yeah, I agree.
Good point. I mean, I think that kind of Devil's Night Up is done. It's brought back that old scene as far as everybody kind of coming together
Right.
and working together. And
Well, it's.
and
I mean, they do have an old man as their front man who's kind of got that old school mentality, dude.
you know, but that's a good thing. And you know, it's done a lot for the scene, and it's been really cool to watch. The thing that destroyed the scene, in my personal opinion, in all of it, was when these so-called promoters started doing the pay-to-play bullshit.
And also just going off of that too, that I've seen promoters say, well, you got to sell tickets, but I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to be playing the big stage. You might be playing like a side stage. So technically, yeah, you're on the bill with, let's say, Powerman 5000, but you're not even in the same room as them. You know, you're
right.
It's funny you should say that. I played a pay to play show with Powerman 5000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back at the old Mark Show place.
Oh,
in,
Jesus.
Bedford, New
Yeah.
Hampshire.
Yeah, we played there a bunch with New Sun.
Yeah, so that was actually like in the early days of when I joined Loki.
Yeah.
We played one of these shows, and it was sort of set up where like the flyer that you got looked like there were like two other support bands, and then you, and then Power Band.
Right.
But when you get there, there's 13 bands.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, you guys are on the bill too?
Wait,
oh,
what time's
you
your
guys sold
set?
40 tickets at
Yeah,
50
exactly.
bucks.
Oh, you guys are playing at 4?
7:10 to 7:11.
You guys are playing 4 to 4:10. Oh, good. Cool. Okay. What the fuck?
So you end up playing like 11 a.m. Right after breakfast.
Right.
And, you know, the coolest part about that whole experience was the first person I saw when I walked in was Spider.
Oh,
And
nice.
he like, he walked right up, shook my hand, and he was like, "Hey, dude, like, who are you, here with?" And I told him the band. He's like, "Oh, cool, man." Like, he was super friendly to me.
That's
and, like,
sick.
that interaction was awesome. So even though the show was kind of shit otherwise, like, they were cool,
Right.
but they didn't play till, midnight, and we were on at like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So.
See, and I've had a situation kind of the exact opposite of that, where I got offered a show for Devil's Night Out, and it was at the Bungalow in New Hampshire, Manchester there. We hit up the promoter, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll let you know." And then he was like, "Hey, yeah, you guys are good to go." And we got down there, and there was, I want to say, like 12 bands on the bill. And actually some good friends of mine, Reaver, they were on the bill too, but they were like second band. And it's like, holy hell, like, how many bands are playing? Like, what's our time slot? Like, we went up and talked to the promoter. He goes, "Oh, you guys play at, like, I can't even remember. I want to say it was like 8. And then this other band plays after you." And then it was actually, we were basically direct support for Head PE and Dope. And it was literally like
Nice.
Devil's Night Out. I can't remember the name of the next band, and I apologize. They were really good. But then Head PE was right, the band after them. And then Dope came on and ended the night, and it was like, holy shit. Like, this is super cool. And
It's cool when that works
yeah,
out.
I mean, we didn't pay anything to play the show. We just went in with an email, given the promoter, I guess, what he wanted to hear. Like, he wanted to see that it was a band that was established and was doing things, and we basically got in on our merits, which is good because that doesn't always happen. Sometimes your merits are what gets you out of contention for a show.
Yeah, it's awesome when those shows fall together, and it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Like, we've had it happen a few times where I think my favorite one that happened that way was we got to open for POD at Asylum.
Yes.
And it was literally just Loki and POD.
That's right.
Nobody else on the bill. It was like I think it was like a 106.3 The Bone promoted show, and it was kind of like a last minute deal where they were like
Right.
playing an off date on the tour, and they didn't have a support band, and it was on like a Wednesday or Thursday. And so, like, we got the call like the week of, and they're like, "Yeah, it's just you guys and those guys." And that was super amazing because, like, literally walked in, their crew and everybody's there, setting up gear, and like, I'm talking shop and, bass gear with Trey.
Right.
I was telling Trey that the first Bass Player magazine I ever bought, he was on the cover of, and he was like, "That's super cool." And then we went over to eat in the pub next door, and we ended up, like, they were over there eating too, so we ended up just kind of like chatting and hanging out.
Oh, that's sick.
And Dope Show, those guys were like amazing, great crowd.
What's really nice about like hearing that kind of stories is like meeting the bands that are these so like well-established bands. They've sold millions of records. They've toured the world. And then you meet them and they're like, "Oh yeah, like that dude's super cool. Like that dude's super chill." And they're extremely humble. They're down to earth. They're just like, "Yeah, I just got like really lucky. I was able to hit the right path with this music and the guys I'm with, and it just so happened to curve right into being like an international touring musician."
Yeah, those are my favorite types of people who
Right.
are still, thankful for what they have, and they realize that they're lucky to still continue to play music for a living.
Like I had a similar thing when I was with New Sun. We opened up for Josh Todd.
Oh yeah, the Buck Cherry guy.
Yeah, the Buck Cherry show, and it was at the Middle East in Boston. I think it was a Tuesday night show. I'm not sure. I don't remember the night, but there must have been about 40 or 50 people that showed up for New Sun Rising. And then as soon as New Sun Rising was done, everybody left.
So the local opener gets all the people.
And I remember Adam was saying that he was out or it was either Adam or Jake was back in the green room, and everybody had already split. So Josh Todd, he looked out and saw that there's pretty much nobody left,
and I guess he was screaming like, "Who the fuck are these NSR guys?" And where'd they take my crowd? Kind of thing before we were walking out the door, and it was kind of a big giggle, but that was pretty funny to see that night, because I mean we all had to work the next morning, and of course I'm going to support my boys, and Josh Todd's okay. I mean he had his youth singles or whatever, and Buck Cherry whatever. Not my cup of tea. Not saying not busting on the guy, but just not my thing. So, I went, supported my boys, and left. I don't. But
that's different. That's different.
Yeah, that's a different. Yeah.
As a local band, you hope that your crowd comes out when you actually get one of these opportunities to play with a national band.
Right.
It's a big deal.
It's huge.
It might happen. It might happen once a year or once every other year.
It might only happen once.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like way back in the day, there was a club in Brockton, Massachusetts called Derringers. And they had a lot of like big names come through that club. And I remember I was roadieing for another friend of mine's band. You can sense a pattern forming. And I had met Glenn Danzig there, because Danzig, it was with his first album after. It was the one with, I don't remember the name of the album, but I'm sorry to Glenn, but the one with Mother on it. So we're all outside. It was like
a self-titled, I think.
I believe it was. And we're all standing outside. He's on his tour bus, and we're all standing outside just shooting the shit, smoking and doing whatever. And the tour bus doors open, and he's standing at the top, and I'm just looking up like, oh my God. And, you just see this big shadow Hulk at the top of these stairs. And then I'm watching him descend, and I'm looking down at him. And I'm like,
he's a short guy. Yeah.
Wait a minute here.
The giant gets shorter and shorter.
Right?
It's like the mouse in front of the flashlight.
Exactly. And I am not a tall person. Everybody knows. I
Vertically challenged.
There's the word. Yeah, that's it. But for me to look down on somebody is quite a feat.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even my 7-year-old's about your height about now.
Oh yeah, easily. But I mean, he's a wicked nice guy, and he sat there and he shot the shit with us for a few minutes before going on stage and stuff. But it was just weird when you like. It's kind of like you build these people up and they're bigger than what you expect. They're like and just you see them on Headbangers Ball every night, and you're just like, oh my God. And then you meet them in person and you're just like, oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah, right. So you're
when I got to meet Henry Rollins, it was a lot like that, because I love Rollins, man. He's one of the best.
A god. He's
a god, not only for Black Flag and Rollins band, but for his
spoken word.
Like,
absolutely, and his podcasts.
And he's like his theories and his just sort of
he's another
mentality.
He's another one of those guys though that like, because of the music he plays, people don't realize how hyper intelligent he is and how sophisticated his mind actually is. Like, I watched, I can't remember what channel, it was on TV, but he did a documentary. I want to say it was for like Discovery, and it was about going to Cambodia and going to the killing fields. And like, my God, that man, he's a brilliant mind.
Well, he's always kind of preached that anyway, and everything is just like, you want to know something, read about it, go there.
Right.
Go check it out.
Right.
Don't just listen to somebody's opinion. You need to form your own and just kind of, that's another thing I've always really respected about him as a musician, and as Seth was saying about, just an artist in general. I mean, the man is just, worldly, and it's so cool to listen.
He
to
visits
everywhere.
like a ton of countries, and he reads a ton of books. He's just smart guy, and he has an amazing way about him that just kind of connects with people.
He's got the charisma. That's what he has. He has charisma.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with that 100%.
I think it was 2012. He was doing the Capitalism tour, and he was playing he was doing spoken word in the capital of every state in the United States. He was doing all 50 states. And in Maine, obviously that's Augusta. So not like the first place you would be like, oh, Henry Rollins is playing in Augusta.
Right.
Because there's really nothing there for the capital. Sorry, Augusta.
Well, and not only that, but it's not like the type of city you would expect. Like, Boston, Massachusetts.
Yep.
It is a metropolitan city. Augusta is like a very,
it's just
suburban. It's a nice place, but it's not the most populated area. Basically, Maine got set up with Augusta as the capital because, all right, go there, get shit done, then you can go home. If you want to go to places, you go to Bangor, you go to Portland, those are like the big cities. And
Well, those are the tourists.
yeah, but there's more
that's
stuff
where-
there. People can go to Augusta
without a
and
doubt.
see stuff, but it's Augusta.
so he was playing at one of the school auditoriums.
Yeah,
And-
I remember that. Yeah.
My wife and I were like first in line. It was one of those things where you get tickets, but they're general admission, and like whoever gets there first in line gets to run down to the front and be, front row center. So we were there with bells on early. I got my Shepherd Ferry Henry Rollins poster signed by Rollins. Got right down front row center. Watched the whole show and he talks for like 3 straight hours. Like he's a madman. He doesn't drink water the entire time. He literally won't take a sip of water because he doesn't want to rob the crowd of that 1 second it takes him to take a sip of water. How intense he is, and then afterwards, after he did that for 3 hours, friggin' hangs out by the bus and just like talks to literally everyone who wanted to hang around. Got to just kind of hang with him, get a picture with him. Such a cool guy, but definitely a lot shorter than I thought he was because you always see him on stage.
Right.
So
Yeah, we're the same height. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But another really cool band, or at least members of the band that, and I had the pleasure of meeting them with Sean, was Life of Agony.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Rock and Shock together.
Yes.
And they were playing that night.
It was them and Guar, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Now that's a show. First off, let's not gloss over this. Life of Agony, one of the premier fucking hard rock bands that you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And fucking Guar. Okay? The fucking mess masters themselves. Like, who put this shit together? Because it was amazing. It was one of the best shows I've ever been to, by far. And
that's awesome.
I mean, Matt and I got to go to Rock and Shock, which was, I think last year was their last year, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, they're not doing it.
Yeah. And which is unfortunate because Rock and Shock, for anyone who's never been or doesn't know what it is, it's basically a metal, or not even metal, because they do usually have like a, what's it called? Yeah, a horror rap night or whatever. But it's a music and horror movie festival down in Worcester. The DCU Center, they basically pack it out with, I mean, you name it. Friggin' all the big names in horror. Matt and I go down there. We're goofing off. We went up to who was that guy? You and I went up and we made that big motherfucker like scared of us. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Oh Christ. Who the hell was that? I don't recall.
You know what? He played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw remakes.
That's right. And yeah, he was a little taken back.
Well, he called us over, and we told some pretty fucked up jokes, and it was, yeah. Needless to say, he was not wanting us to stick around for much longer.
We made him kind of feel uncomfortable, and then Roddy Piper was across the way.
Yep, we kind of leaned over and saw him, and we're like, "Oh my god!" But then, like, we're standing there, and Matt and I kind of turn around, and there's Doyle from Misfits fame and all that, and then it's like, "Is that Sal Bruscato?" Oh my god, it is. Is that Joe Zampanelli? Joey Z? And there's Mina. Like we just kind of lost our minds. Yeah.
We kind of went over and we're talking to him for a few seconds, and Sean pulls up his pant leg to show Joey Z his tattoo of agony. And Joey was like all freaked out, dude. Like totally like fangirling on Sean's tattoo. Like, dude, this is so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, and Sean goes, "That's nothing. You want to see a really cool Misfits tattoo?" And like, you know, so he tells me to take my shirt off. So I take my shirt off because I've got like, I think at the time, right now I have like 10 Misfits tattoos.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't have. Jeez, I think you just finished the Scarecrow.
Yeah, the Scarecrow had just been finished with Chris.
I saw the Scarecrow get done when I was working at the shop.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched that one. Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend Crystal actually bought them for my birthday.
Oh yeah.
And that's actually a Alan Yeager piece. He's the one that designed it for Misfits. And I actually called him. Well, I emailed him and asked him for permission to have it tattooed on me. And he was so taken back by it that he actually sent me the hand-drawn print.
That's amazing.
And signed it. And I have it framed on my wall somewhere.
That's cool.
So shout out to Alan. Thank you very much again for that. And so I took pictures of it all, went from start to finish, and I sent it all to him, and he tagged himself on Facebook in it, and was like, but that's neither here nor there. But so Sean and I are there, and so I take off my stuff and I'm showing my Misfits tattoo, and Joey Z's like, Doyle, come check this fucking shit out, dude.
Now, before we go any further, you're right there, okay? Doyle is wearing platform shoes. The dude's already like 6'2", 6'3". He's wearing these boots that are another 5 to 6 inches up. So I'm 6'2". So
he's like almost 7 foot at this point.
Yeah. I'm usually one of the tall guys around, and all of a sudden this motherfucker comes over, and I'm like, "Hi, what's up, buddy? Oh shit!" And he's just like looking down, like, "Huh? Oh shit! Look at that!" Like it caught him completely by surprise.
Yeah, he was just like, "Oh wow, that's cool, and that's cool, and that's cool." But
recognize that.
He was really standoffish. But then I found out later that he's got like social anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So
right, yeah.
But first impression was not good of Doyle. Let's just say that. It was just kind of like, "Sup?"
Yeah. Well,
it's like, "Oh, dude, big fan." Blah blah blah. And he's just like, "Thanks."
Yeah. And some people you got to remember though, when they get to the point like Doyle or Mina and Joey Z, like they're just like, "Yeah, cool, thank you, appreciate it." They try to get it done as fast as possible.
Yeah,
well, Joey, I kind of almost
wasn't like that. Mina was like hanging on us for a little bit, and I was just like,
"Yeah."
I'm like, "You know what? Yeah, I might."
Yeah. The thing is though, like you got to remember, I almost tackled them. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I went full fangirl because I love Life of Agony. Showing them my leg tattoo. I've done it. I've actually seen them. God, I don't even know how many times. It's probably one of the bands I've seen the most play live in my life. Actually, Matt, you got me for my birthday a vinyl release of Life of Agony's River Runs Red.
Yes, I did.
It is number 104 out of 500. So there are only 500 of them made, and your ass got me one of those. So I greatly appreciate that. That literally, it's never been played. It will never be played. It is still in the plastic, I believe. There's nothing better than the River Runs Red album by Life of Agony. I got nothing else to say about that.
That's definitely one of my probably top 5 concept albums of all time.
This is Craig G from Thems That Wait, and you're listening to TrawlCast with Sean and Seth. Let's take a bite out of rock. Oh yeah.
So we started this podcast kind of talking about, Matt, you moving up here, working at Captain Morgan's, and meeting Seth through Captain Morgan's. Now, from the other side of things, I actually lived with a gentleman named Kevin Harrington. We had a house back in South Portland that when I was doing kind of the same thing, I was going through a pretty nasty situation. Kevin found me, pulled me aside, and said, "Hey, you're living with me now because I'm going to get you out of the shit you're in." He moved into this gorgeous apartment in South Portland with our third roommate, Kara Smith, who I just so happen to still be with 17 years later. Sorry, I blanked out on 17 years. So Kevin, actually, I joined a band with Kevin called Azrael. And again, this is how weird and microcosmic this whole world is. I joined a band called Azrael with Kevin. That band kind of dissipated, split up, or whatever, broke up, however you want to put it. Kevin then decided he was going to go try out for this band that we had heard of. He had been friends with a couple of the members before that, and that's Loki. He was the drummer. I want to say he was the second or third drummer in the band's history, but he came in and he was with them for a number of years, and actually he left and Adam came in and took his place, and Adam brought Seth in because Lubier decided he wanted to work on his family. He wanted to go that route, and Seth came in, and so you meeting Seth through Captain Morgan's, you're friends with Adam. Adam gets into Loki. I used to be a roadie for Loki. I actually still, somewhere in this house of mine, have a Valhalla Pit Crew Loki sweatshirt that I'm going to bring to practice or a show sometime, Seth, just to mess with you.
That's awesome. I mean, that predates me. Like, I remember seeing it one time. You wore it at like a Big Easy show that we had, and I was like, where the hell did you get that sweatshirt? Yeah. And
there was only ever made, and I know 2 of them are technically in this house. I don't know if Kara still has hers. I know I still have mine. But Kevin, being their drummer for Loki, he I think he was on like the second album for Loki and the third, maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head.
He was on Firelight, which was recorded at Big Sound with John Wyman when John Wyman was still there before he left, and I think he went to New York and then he came back. So this was like probably 2004, 2005-ish, maybe even earlier.
And all our stories are told by the people that we don't know. Can our glories be seen by the one that we love? Born from me, if you falling, take my hand when it rains.
And
I would say it's probably 2003, 2004, because Kara and I basically kind of got together around 2003, like the middle to end of it, and like we've been together ever since. Not to her happiness, but to mine. I'm happy. She might be miserable, but that's okay. But so anyway, Kevin, me and Kevin and Kara kind of had this. Not really a falling out. We just kind of stopped talking to each other for a little bit. Kara and I moved to another place, and we're kind of living life. We had just had a child in 2005, our first kid together. And Kevin kind of out of the blue just showed up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm starting this crew." And we're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, what?" So Kevin, Twitch Harrington, says, "I want you guys," he's talking to Kara and I, he's like, "I want you guys to come and meet my friends. I made these friends over the last few years. All good people, this, that, the other thing." I'm like, okay. And I want to say that was like 2006, maybe even 2007.
Yeah, it was about that.
Yeah, it's around there because I don't remember, and I'm pretty sure, Matt, you can back me up, I don't remember that year.
It's fuzzy.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. That was a fuzzy year.
Yeah, I don't even think pixelated is the proper terminology because that shit is gone.
Yeah.
But
you know,
Kevin, could you introduce me to these people? There was you, Matt. There was Jess Church, Nikki Schweikart, Tabitha Ledbetter, Kayla Pomelo. Pretty much, I think that was it.
Yeah, that was the original crew.
Yeah, and we just kind of hung out, and I think that was one of my more fond memories of being that wild kid as an adult. We basically every weekend or every other weekend we'd all get together. We'd all start drinking random points during the day. I know there was a couple times that like I'd wake up and Kara would go downstairs and like we're it's already past breakfast or whatever, but Kara like cracked open some Jaeger and cook a couple shots, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like 11. And she's like, well, we're going out tonight, aren't we? And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Let me have some. Like we kind of pre-gamed because we knew the night was just going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So we got this quote unquote crew going. And again, this is like how microcosmic it is. Like, I didn't know, Matt, that you knew Seth.
Right.
I knew Adam because you had mentioned it, and I think you were still living with Adam at the time.
I was living with Adam, Sarah.
So,
I knew
we
never really crossed paths in those days.
No, we didn't.
No, it was kind of weird because you knew Seth before I knew Seth, but I knew you before I knew Seth per se. Like. This weird, like, overlapping kind of quilt of the three of us kind of almost crossing paths without actually crossing paths together at the same time. It's crazy that we hadn't run into each other earlier than we have.
I agree.
It actually wasn't until about, like, 2010 that we all were in the same room at the same time.
Correct.
Because I remember Loki was playing a show at Empire upstairs.
Yep.
And we were doing this Friday the 13th slasher movie night where we had hired some guys to play like slasher movies behind the bands playing.
Yeah, and, didn't you guys live stream that too?
Yeah, and we live streamed it. So
right. Yes.
That was way ahead of its time for 2010.
Absolutely, man. It was
way ahead.
Fucking high tech, dude.
So we had hired Foo Crew, which they're still doing stuff in town, and they do an incredible job with visuals and filming and live streaming, stuff like that. So I had gone across the street to get a slice at Auto before the show, and I ran into Sean. And I hadn't seen you, Sean, in probably a couple of years at that point. And I was like, dude, like, we're playing across the street like tonight. I can't remember like if you were just there or if you had planned to come. I'm not sure, but
so it's actually funny because Matt and I had planned to go out, and I had a friend who Matt and I had worked with at one time. He was going to Plague down at the Asylum. It's like a goth industrial music night. So we were going there to hang out, drink some beers, and Matt was like, hey, by the way, Loki's playing up at Empire. And so I was like, fuck it, let's go to both. And he's like, I'm in, let's go.
Right. Okay.
So,
yeah.
I remember that show was Sun Gods in Exile, which was Sonny from Twisted Roots band with Mark, who was also from Twisted Roots, and Clubber Lang was playing too.
Oh, that's right.
Which is Sean Slaughter's band, which it's funny, I actually just I hadn't played probably with Sean Slaughter since those days, but we actually just collaborated on an Alice in Chains song that we just released for Quarantine Karaoke.
Yeah, dude, that came
cool.
out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that was really, really cool.
And Atomic Trash was there, which was kind of a burlesque act that was like doing stuff in between the bands. And I remember Loki got totally screwed because we ended up having to go on at like 12:30. And we were just fucking heated. We were just so pissed because we were like, we worked so hard on that show, and then it was like almost like we didn't get to play, but we played our set and we got out of there. But I remember that was the first time we had all three of us been like kind of in the same room, chilling, and
Well, and again it's that weird thing. Like I knew you, Seth, from coming into Blockbuster, and like I knew you were in Loki because I'd come to a show here and there, but like when I'd come to a show, that was like the night Matt didn't come to the show.
Right.
So Matt would come to the shows that I wasn't at, and it was like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
Yeah. But
we
there was
know
so
this
much
is happening
at that time. Like it was easy to
Right.
miss. It was funny though.
But so going back to like this crew and stuff and Loki, like I still talk to every one of the people that was in that group of friends. Matt, you're definitely one of the guys I've continued to have as much contact with as possible, just because we happen to have some of the same interests in life.
Definitely.
But like great times, great memories. I still steer clear of Jaeger as much as possible.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, bad.
It is bad.
Jaeger.
But anyway,
Actually, the reason why I steer clear of Jaeger has to do with Adam, because Adam and I used to play this like hippie festival with Loki out in Scarborough on this farmland. But we would make a weekend out of it and go camping, and Adam would always bring Jaeger.
Yep.
And I like super overdid it one time, and that's all it takes with Jaeger.
Yeah. No doubt.
yeah.
I mean,
One time.
when
I think the last thing I remember is I was telling someone a bedtime story as Christopher Walken, and then I was passed out in the tent, but like with my legs completely hanging out of it.
Hey, what's up? This is John from Alliance. You're listening to Seth and Sean on TrawlCast.
the Saco River.
All right, you just shut your fucking mouth right now. Okay, we're not bringing up the Saco River trip.
Wow, that was a hell of a trip.
No, the only thing I do want to point out though, that Saco River trip, like we floated down. It was a great time, fantastic thing. But Scott, my bass player for Devil's Night Out, lost his wife's her engagement ring and ring.
Shit.
Like in a beach. There's tents everywhere. Scott, his wife, for some reason, she had to take her ring off because she didn't want to lose it or something to that effect. So it was something really funny because she didn't want to lose it or get it dirty, and then like an hour later, Scott's like, I don't have your rings, babe. And we're
man.
No fucking way. Are you shitting me?
Right.
So like we were combing that fucking beach in the 2:00 in the morning with matches and lighters and cigarettes and cell phones and anything to just have some light to try to find a fucking wedding ring and engagement ring. And it was like, oh
Did you
my
guys
God.
find it?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Never found it. It's still, if somebody's down that, I can't remember the name of the campsite, but if you're there and you found a wedding ring and an engagement ring, good on you. Based on your time together, is there any opportunity that you guys would take and try to relive it again? To be in that moment again, just to remember it more clearly and more vividly and just enjoy what you did then?
Yeah. Wow, that's a good question.
That's an amazing question.
Yeah.
I'm
knocking this one out of the park, boys. Come on now.
I'm really going to have to say when I was probably, I don't know, just like, because there's times in your life where you don't realize how good you actually had it because your mind is in such a dark place that no matter what, everything sucked. And, that's kind of like when we were all hanging out. We were all in, not so much Seth, but with you and I, Sean,
Right.
we were coming out of some really dark places.
My tough times came a little bit later. It was kind of in between.
Yeah,
years,
yours were, I remember that. But
they were yet to come, but they were only.
We were kind of foreshadowing for you, man. Like we were, like
we were what not to do.
We were showing you shit's gonna get real, but we didn't want it to get that real for you. Like,
Right.
damn, like
You know, I had just been like destroyed by a girl again, and then I destroyed a girl who I very much cared about and was a complete fucking idiot at the time. And I regret that. I think that's where I would go back to. I am completely happy where I'm at and in my life right now. And I have a wonderful woman in my life and 3 wonderful children.
that you just got engaged to,
I
man.
did, yes.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Out
buddy.
in at Disney World, we got engaged in Star Wars Land, which
That's amazing.
which
man.
was pretty
That's so cool.
fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome.
Because as you know,
Fucking awesome.
right? I mean, Star Wars, how it doesn't
Yeah.
get any better than that.
Yeah.
But if I
Yeah.
could go,
Well, I mean, you and I are super Star Wars geeks, man. Come
Oh,
on, you know
totally.
that. Everyone should know that.
but yes, to answer your question, I would definitely go back in time to that spot and relish more what I had and realize how good I had it at that time. Or it would probably be in my late teens, early 20s when I had just gotten home from the military and all that. And I was hanging out with a really great group of people. And I started getting into the whole goth scene down in
Right.
Massachusetts by going to Man Ray and the wonderful, amazing sights I saw in that club. Axis Avalon, that whole genre of bars that was just amazing at that time. But those would be that would be my 2 go-tos without a doubt.
Right.
Because I really, really enjoyed the time I had with when we first met, and our crew, you know,
Right.
was just fucking amazing. And I didn't fully take it all in for what it was.
None of us really did back then. I think we all kind of were just living life as full as we could with what we had at that time. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But so, Seth, what would be a time that you would go back to and try to relive the experience? Not necessarily change it, but just be there again.
Yeah. I really loved my years playing with Loki. You know, basically almost my entire 20s. You know, I was in that band, and I just, like you guys said, you know, you're just kind of living. You know, didn't have very much money then. Didn't really have, you know, much to speak of or whatever. But it was just, you know, hanging with those guys and just like, you know, meeting all of you guys and like basically kind of, like I said, you know, launching what would be like the next, you know, for a long time in my life, you know, all the people that I know, and, you know, it would be cool to hang in that moment a little longer and just, you know, I met my wife Miranda because of Loki. I, you know, got to do so many cool things, so many cool opportunities, and those guys are some of my best friends in the world. You know, John Taylor, John Boyer, Adam Nichols. I mean, they're some of my best friends in the world, and I miss them. You know, I haven't been. I get to see them occasionally. Sometimes we get to hang and stuff, but there's nothing like being in a band with your best buds and like getting to hang with them literally, you know, every single week on end for years, and then one day you just don't anymore, and that sucks, you know.
Right.
Exactly. I think you nailed it with that.
And you know, it's to nobody's fault at all. It's life, and we all move on. We, you know, things evolve, things change, and but those were amazing days, and I think I'd go back and hang in that moment a little longer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great answer.
That's a good answer for sure.
All right, buddy. Now on you, what would be your turn or your perfect place in life to go back and relive if you could?
See, and that's the thing. I thought about this. Even though I asked the question and came up with this question, I still don't have the right answer for myself. Because thinking back on all the, 37 years old now. Matt, I've known you for like 13 years.
Yep.
Seth, I've known you for like,
around there.
12 years. Yeah. So, but, honestly, I don't know because, like, seeing the birth of both of my children again and being able to relive those moments would be fantastic. But then, I know that's something that it's still in my head. It's still in my mind. I do have very good memories of those, but I don't know. I don't know of something that I would want to relive again because they're all very precious in my mind because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were an experience that I'm only going to hit once in life. And I don't know if I want to do that again because they're perfect. Even though they weren't perfect, they made me a better person in the future. But honestly, thinking back, I think probably the moment I would really want to relive would be the moment that I actually met John Taylor and Boyer and like started to work for them, like this little time frame where I was actually their roadie, because that basically was the foundation of meeting both of you guys and
Sure.
kind of the foundation of where I am today. As a person, John Taylor, being around him and being like, I was basically his microphone carrying guy. It was roadie. I did some guitar tech stuff for Boyer. Back before you, Seth Lubier, I was his bass tech. Like I was basically I was their roadie. I was the only guy they brought with them to do these jobs. And I remember being able to change a string on a guitar like fast as lightning for Boyer and tune it to his tuning. And basically, like, he finishes a song, I give him the guitar back, he's going again. I remember sitting down with JT and talking about becoming a singer. It didn't click to me back then, but knowing now what I know they were trying to do for me back then, it helped made me the way I am now. Whereas, like, I met you, Seth, through you kind of being pulled into this band that I just so happened to be friends with at the time. And then my old roommate, who was the drummer for said band, happened to know Matt and said, hey, I'm hanging out with these people. They're pretty cool. Let's all go hang out together. Like, I think that would be the moment, knowing what's to come in the future and all the positive and the negative and the character building and changes that would be coming very soon.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
In a world.
In a world.
Yeah.
So, question to both of you: unpopular opinion, and go.
Oh shit! I'm terrible at this.
I think the band Ghost is so overrated.
Okay.
All right. That would be a pretty unpopular opinion.
Yeah. I appreciate their live shows. I do love the theatrics. That's definitely something I'm a huge fan of. I just can't get over, like, the music. Unfortunately, it's not hitting me the way it hits other people. Matt, you and I actually talked about this. We did end up going to a Boston Bruins game together before the world got set on fire. But, I understand that they have an amazing live show. I just can't get into Ghost. I can't. I've tried. I've listened to their songs. I want to fucking throat punch the singer for some reason. I can't do it. I'm sorry. That's mine. Thank you.
All right.
I'll be here all week.
Don't forget to tip the waitress
I'll be here all week.
and try the veal.
All right,
Okay.
Seth, this is on you, brother.
Yeah.
No, now to you, Seth.
I'm terrible at this. You guys know I'm terrible at this.
Seth, remember, Matt, you're talking to the considerate ninja.
I know, right?
So one band I definitely hate that a lot of people do like is U2. I cannot stand Bono.
Oh my God, I'm so with you.
Yeah, I can't.
Yep, I'm saying here, man. That's a pretty popular opinion.
Okay, so that's a terrible one because.
Well, because I mean, obviously, U2 is one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah,
but let's be honest, they've been ripping us off with the same bass line for 40 years.
Yeah, and I just can't stand Bono and his kind of smugness and his attitude. That to me, and just his style of singing is not my thing. I've been, every time I put that opinion out there, people are like, "What do you mean? Have you ever heard Joshua Tree and Sunday Bloody Sunday?" I'm like, I get it, but I don't like it. It just sucks.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Matt, you got your popular opinion, yeah.
AC/DC is one of the worst bands ever created.
Okay, I can understand why you'd say that. I can definitely empathize with that sentiment.
I hear what you're saying.
It's the same song with different lyrics.
It is
on every album.
It's one of those things where it's like it's a rock and roll formula that just works.
It's the 4/4 beat.
You know that if you do that, everyone's going to come out and see it because it's kind of captivating to see live. You don't have to think very much about it. It's not really it's really
automatic.
Challenging. It's not really challenging you.
Yeah, it's just automatic. It's like a muscle memory of just ba boo ba, but keeping it nice and even.
Yeah.
Yep. That's definitely on mine.
But I can't. I mean, I'm not like a diehard AC/DC fan. I had like the live album growing up, and I had Dirty Deeds, and like.
Yeah, I did enjoy Bon Scott. I'm not gonna lie about that, but everything. Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase. If I never heard Back in Black ever again, anything on that album, I'd be okay with it. Well, it's one of the most overplayed and just garbage albums.
But that thing is, that's the album that broke them out into the world realistically. Like, and that's why it's so overplayed. It's like, I mean, honestly, do I really need to hear Enter Sandman anymore? True. No. I don't
the thing
like
with
that,
With like classic rock radio in general, is they'll only play kind of the mega hits of all the bands like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, and I could do without hearing, most of the hit Led Zeppelin stuff again. I want to hear the B-sides. I want to hear the stuff that never made the radio. They're so celebrated that all of that's been done and been played, and I want to hear the stuff the B-sides and the stuff that like hasn't been over celebrated,
Yeah, like Jamaica and all that kind of stuff. Physical Graffiti is probably my favorite Zeppelin album ever made.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And I'm with you on that. Is I could go the rest of my life and never hear Stairway to Heaven again, and I'm okay with it.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing.
Or Black Dog.
Right, Black Dog.
Rock and roll. Okay, it served its purpose.
I love Lemon Squeeze or Lemon Song.
Right. Yeah, the Lemon Song. Right, sure. I think my personal favorite Zeppelin song is Kashmir.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great song.
And that being said, my second most unpopular opinion, and I don't know how this is going to go, but Billie Eilish dresses like Kevin Smith.
I mean, but she does. So that's
Yeah, she does. Funny though, like this is the second podcast though that I've heard her name come up in.
She's amazing. I think she's very talented, but she dresses like.
I don't think I've ever heard a single song she's done.
Well, I have twin girls, so.
Well, that's your fault.
So I will say that Miranda and I recently watched. She did a live at Austin City Limits, which I'm sure you guys are familiar, but Austin City Limits has been a show that has been broadcast since probably the 80s, maybe like late 70s. Johnny Cash had a famous set on there. Stevie Ray Vaughan had a famous set. Willie Nelson, and so Billie Eilish was on Austin City Limits. So I'm like, I have to see this because that's kind of a precedent. You know, you have to have talent. Have to have talent to be asked to do that. So I was really surprised. She came out wearing, it was this like sort of stitched up shirt that had like patchwork from a bunch of different band shirts. And on there was Cradle of Filth, Typo Negative, and it was like White Zombie, all kind of stitched into this one shirt. And I was like, I really hope she like knows who these bands are. And I actually looked it up, and it appears as though like she's a fan of that stuff. So like,
yeah, she is. She's a metal goth kid.
You know, yeah. So I was impressed because I'm like, okay, if you're representing like, you know, that kind of stuff as a, you know, she's a pretty young, I think she's like maybe, you know, early 20s, if that.
No, I think she's only
18.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought she just turned like 19. Yeah, she's young.
Yeah, she just turned 18 at the beginning of this year, because I remember seeing stuff on Facebook like, oh, she's finally legal by all these really creepy dudes. And I was just like,
so that's just wrong.
That's just awesome, guys. I hope you don't have daughters.
Yeah, seriously. But I just thought that was cool because I'm like, man, she's, you know, paying attention, because that's some stuff that, like, you know, we grew up listening to.
Oh, yeah. Typo is one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, I love Typo too.
Peter Steele has the sexiest voice on a male singer in that genre ever. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him 3 times.
You have? I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
I met them 3 times down in Providence. Every single time was in Providence, Rhode Island, at Club Babyhead.
Wow.
And he was always the nicest guy ever.
Yeah, I'm going to plead the fifth on this one.
I know you don't like Typo.
Yeah. I know. I think we brought it up one day because I started playing
and that's
Black number 1.
And that would kind of explain a lot why he doesn't like Ghost.
That's true.
Musically, it's the same kind of feel.
Right. Well, no. See, I think I think I 100% agree with you that Peter Steele has an amazing voice. It's one of those things that didn't catch for me. I don't know what it is. And I had Bloody Kisses. I owned that CD. I listened to it, and it just never like popped for me. It never gave me that yes. Like, and that was it. Like, I don't even think I have that CD anymore.
At least you gave it a chance.
I'll give anything a chance. I mean, I gave Pearl Jam a chance for a long time, and it just didn't hit for me. Ghost, I've given a chance. I've listened to a bunch of stuff. There is some talent there. I just can't get it. I just can't do it.
I haven't really honestly paid a whole lot of attention to Ghost for whatever reason. Every time I try to get into it, I feel like it's just on a wavelength that I'm not on. Like I'll be listening to a bunch of like funk metal stuff or like 70s funk or like that kind of thing, and then like a Ghost song will pop. I'll be like, I don't really want that right now. Like,
not right now. Yeah,
I'm not really like on that
wavelength.
Yeah, I got to be in like the right mood to get into. And same thing with Typo. Like I'll go through phases where like I'm super into that, and I'm like, I can dive through that catalog, and then there's another time in my life where I'm like, I need to let more time go by before I get back into that stuff. It's just not, you know.
Actually, it's a funny story, Seth. Today I was looking on Facebook talking about, you know, music and stuff like that. Somebody posted a thing, one of those Facebook, you know, questions, I guess they're out now.
Yeah.
And it said blank disco. And the 2 options were Panic at the Disco or Dog Fashion Disco.
Oh, shit.
And I kid you not, I saw that, I put my answer down, and I spent the rest of the afternoon listening to Dog Fashion Disco.
Nice.
Like, it hit, and I was like, Seth should be here right now. He would love this.
So that's a band that, you know, we've talked about them on the podcast before. We're giving them a lot of love, but not a lot of people mention that band anymore, and they're a pretty cool band. So,
yeah, dude, I had to listen to them after I saw that question, and it's been a minute since I actually got real deep. I mean, I listened to the whole Ad Nauseum album, like front to back, twice.
Nice.
Just because I saw that and was like, I'm in the mood. Now's the mood.
Nice.
So I understand that being in the mood, the time, the place for a certain band.
Certain style or band, yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's the best thing about music, right? Is there's a genre for every feeling and for
Right.
every situation. Music speaks where words fail. Is always
Right.
been one of my favorite sayings, and I don't remember where that came from or whoever came up with it, but nothing can really explain it better than that.
That's
Mhm.
true, man.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, you can attach a song or a band to every single, portion of your life in some way.
That's also
Right.
true.
You
Good,
know,
or,
like-
good or bad. Sometimes it ends up being like, oh, I can't listen to that album anymore because of that happened, or
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I remember this was
Well,
playing when this happened, and
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know I have certain bands that I'm a huge fan of, and like when I know maybe some of the negative stuff happened, and that was like big in my life. I see that as just some more character for that band. One band in particular I can think of is the band Finch.
Mhm.
I love Finch, and when they were like super popular, that was a time in my life that I had some stuff occur that was not good, and I understand. I can feel the emotions that are like attached to that CD that I want to listen to, but I just recognize it as another character, like flaw of sorts that associates with that music, and it gives me a chance to enjoy it a little bit more because I know now I've progressed, mentally, emotionally, maturity wise, more than I was at that point in my life. So
that's a good way to look at it.
yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah.
we're recording this on Wednesday, April 29th. I know that the governor of the state of Maine has issued a stay safer at home, or whatever. I don't remember what fancy terminology she called it, for the state of Maine.
I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is a lot of stuff that was still being planned and worked towards in the coming months. I do want people to continue to be safe. But I know Dave Peterson, the owner of Wyndham Tattoo and Body Piercing. We have been talking about tattoo parlors and stuff tonight, so I want to give him a shout out. But at the same time, I wanted to let everyone know who's listening that the Wyndham Tattoo and Body Piercing Customer Appreciation Show unfortunately has been canceled due to the stay-at-home order and just the fact that the world is still on fire right now. We love Dave. Dave let us play last year. He was having us back this year. I personally have played it for like 4 years now, and I love it. Dave's a great guy. We always have a good time there. Lots of food, swimming, just good times in general. But anyone who's listening that was planning on going to it, unfortunately, it has been canceled. So I have spoken with him, and I told him, I'm so sorry for this. We all in the music scene really are anticipating and excited about doing that show. And his response was, we're going to do it next year. So just be ready for next year, ladies and gentlemen, because I guarantee Dave will make that one off the chain, as the kids say.
As the kids say.
as the cool kids say. But yeah, that's just I love personally. I love Dave. He's done a lot of promoting for the music scene. He's a huge supporter of all the bands. He may not listen to a lot of the music just because it's not really his thing, but he will support it tooth and nail the whole way. So I wanted to give him a shout out and tell him we're sorry that you had to cancel that. We do look forward to gigging next year. I almost could count on Trawl definitely saying yes to being involved with that again.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, I was
we love you, Dave.
Playing that. Yeah, we love you, man. Definitely understand, and that's I think the right choice for right now. And
Yeah.
to keep everybody safe and as safe as we can. And I'm psyched about it next year. I think it'll probably be bigger and better. And I think what I hope is that once we all can get back out there and start playing shows again, that, you know, there'll be like a new appreciation and a revived love for live events that, you know,
Absolutely.
Hopefully will, you know, continue to be strong for a long time after people realize, wow, there's a time in our life where we literally can't go anywhere to go see the bands that we love. Maybe that when we can, it means a little bit more. So I'm hoping that becomes the case, you know.
I'll say the first show is going to be a pants optional show, just so everyone's aware.
I thought that was every show. Sorry. No, I agree with your sentiments here, gentlemen, and I really hope that this will start bringing a little more compassion back into the world that's been lost over, especially with social media. It's a blessing and a curse all at the same time. On one hand, it's a great medium for people to get their stuff out and to you know, kind of promote and all that stuff. But on the other side of that blade is keyboard warriors that got way too comfortable talking shit without getting their face knocked in.
Talk shit, get hit. Man.
Yeah. So, you know, there's two sides of that coin. And, but I mean, I really hope that we can stop bringing some, you know, compassion and the whole, you know, take care of your neighbor,
each other.
Each other at some point, because, you know, somewhere along the lines, I believe we got a little lost, and I'm hoping that this.
Well, and that's the generation. You know, what we live in currently is the chaos, and you're right that the social media is a curse and a blessing. But honestly, like with this TrawlCast, Seth and I. And especially Trawl, like we've been pushing for positive. Like we don't want it to be super downer. We want this to make people think and talk and just have fun. And I think that's what this world needs more of, is people. Like, I am not the happiest person. I have, you know, fought my demons over the years, but I'll be honest, like since I've been in Trawl, since I've been playing music again in general, I've felt much better about life, and I feel more positive about things. You know, last couple of weeks have been a little rough just because of the life we lead right now with, you know, having to wait in lines at grocery stores. And then they say, well, you can only buy 1 gallon of milk. And it's like, why? Like,
right.
I have a 7-year-old who'll drink this in a day.
Yeah, no kidding. You know, but like to your point, Sean, you know, that's kind of the common denominator with all of this, right? Is the music. So, you know, like with all of us, no matter how we met, it's all because of a band or because
it's all because of music, man. That's awesome.
Music.
It's true. It is.
You know, that's the common denominator between our entire crew.
Thank you, Matt, for coming on and just talking, man.
No, I appreciate you having me on. This has been awesome. You know, hopefully do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So this is the part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. You all know what we like to do here. We like to tell you to find us on whatever podcatcher you're using. Right now, you can find TrawlCast on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify. More will be coming. I know Apple Podcasts takes a little bit of time, but we're getting there soon. Castbox and Overcast should be coming soon as well. So if you do find us on your favorite podcatcher, please subscribe. If you get a chance, and they do have like a rating system, you can give us 5 stars and leave a comment, tell everyone how awesome we are. There's also the opportunity, if you are interested in doing a listener submitted question, listener submitted segue, you got a comment or a concern, or you want to know about certain things that we've talked about on the show or we haven't talked about yet, cast a line to us at trawlband@gmail.com. Again, we check that all the time. Geez, what else is there? Oh, you can leave us a voice message, people, on the anchor.fm app. There's a little thing. If you find our podcast on there, it's literally anchor.fm/TrawlCast. There's a little, like, it's like an old school comic bubble with a plus sign in it and says voice message. You can send us a voice message there. So do that if you want. You know, we love hearing about what you guys think of the podcast, what you guys like or don't like about what we're doing. We do take criticism fairly well for the most part.
I don't. I'm fragile.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I'm going to be honest. I'm fragile too.
I will be the shield for my brethren here. But again, thank you guys all so much for listening to TrawlCast. This is a different episode because we just kind of wanted to have a friend on who we've both known collectively for many years. It's been an absolute blast to relive some old memories.
Thank you very much, Matt, for coming on. It was awesome to talk with you again, man, and just kind of catch up. And other than that, thank you everyone for listening. We're having fun with this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and we're going to continue to do it. Hopefully every week or close to that. So we appreciate you guys listening.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sean Matthews.
And I'm Seth McCall.
And I'm Matt Heath.
Thank you so much again for tuning in to TrawlCast. We will see you next week.